Welcome, everyone, alumni, clergy-laity, all of you. So many familiar faces. Our president is here for about 1 minute before he needs to go across the hall to speak with the Philoptochos. So I'll do the normal welcomes and things after he leaves. So just want to let him say a few words.
So thank you all for coming. No, please, no clapping. Really.
We're clapping now. We're not when you're not.
That's what I tell everybody. They're all clapping. I'm like, well, wait a year, and then if you want to heckle, great. So I really appreciate you all coming today for this event. Hellenic College Holy Cross, for too long, for very obvious reasons, resource constraints, geography, has become more of an island. We're recognizing just how important we are for the life of the Archdiocese and how we must become a hub. And I think you'll be very impressed by the presentations today from Bishop Anthony, Father John, Bruce Beck, Presbytera Chrysoula, to show you all the ways in which Hellenic College Holy Cross is having an impact on the community, not just in our immediate area in Boston, but regionally and nationally and internationally. Very exciting stuff happening on campus lately. So thank you all very much for coming here. I'm sorry that I can't be here, but the Philoptochos scheduled this at the same exact time, and you know how these conferences are. You know, there's only so much that you can do, and I feel a commitment to be with them for the entire time of their presentation. So once again, thank you for coming. It's great to see alumni here, current students, and supporters, trustees. Thank you very much for being here, and enjoy the rest of your conference. And thank you especially to Bruce for organizing this, and to all the presenters for being here today and making the presentations on our behalf. They're really great. You're going to love to hear what they're doing.
Thank you, Dimitri. You're in Tide Pool 4, which I'm sure some of you can make a metaphor out of this in some kind of generative, kind of nurturing way. The brief purpose of our being here, and if this purpose doesn't work for you, you'll have time to leave. Is we, the four of us, and I'll introduce our panel speakers in a moment, we want to focus on showing you ways that our school, and I mean our in the collective our, everyone here, our school in Brookline, Massachusetts, can serve your educational needs wherever you live or go. Except for the video on Meliodas, you will not see any happy student faces in this room. We're going to focus on the out-facing services of our school as we bend in your direction. My name is Dr. Bruce Beck. I'm assistant professor of New Testament, and fortunately given the role of trying to grow the school over the last 4 years as the director of enrollment management. I'm fortunate to be with my colleagues and partners in Outbound Educational Opportunities today. His Grace Bishop Tony Vrame is here. He'll need to be leaving at 12:30, so he'll be coming up. He'll be our first presenter. His Grace is going to be representing, or his role as the head of the Holy Cross Press, and of course that is Outbound by definition. And I was thinking bound books. I think there's more here than we have time to unpack.
Let's avoid the bad pun. Okay?
That's not a bad pun. I've worked on that for a month. Reverend Dr. John Chryssavgis will be presenting second, who is on our Holy Cross faculty, as is Bishop Anthony, but is on our faculty and is the director of the Huffington Ecumenical Institute, which is remarkably in its first year, but you're going to see how much they've been able to do. And then Presbytera Chrysoula Kourkounti, who is our director of the Meliodas Cultural Center. Just a brief word of introduction before our presenters comment. This is kind of the framing In March of 2020, all of our Hellenic College students and all of our Holy Cross students, while they were on spring break, they got an email that said, come back to school, get your bags packed, and go back home. And this was because, as you know, of the corona pandemic, which really changed our lives for many, many years. This event created a necessity for us to roll out courses in 2 weeks remotely, buying a license for Zoom, getting our faculty in order. We only took 1 extra week in order to get ready to teach. The next fall and spring, we were completely online. None of our students were on campus. This, while an incredible difficulty, especially for our students, created a catalyst, or I would call it a revelation, that our leadership went through, that we can and should bring our classes and our cultural events outside of our beautiful campus. While we had talked about continuing education I've been in the school for 20 years, and I've heard continuing education from the very first day. We were, for various reasons, were unable to bring it. We are bending as much as we can right now, and we pray for your prayers and your support to bring our educational mission to individuals and to the parishes. So the purpose of this gathering is to not only inform, because information I find is never enough, it's about then having you ask the question, how can you engage with this? Believe it or not, our own faculty are not yet fully aware in their bones that we are a school made up of online and on-campus community. Our enrollment office bought the T-shirts to send out last fall because we didn't have orientation yet for our online students. There's some seats up here if you'd like to come in. So, Bishop Tony, Father John, and Chrysoula and I hope to inform you about what we've developed so far and what the future might hold. We also want to limit our presentations to about 8 minutes so that we can have around 25 minutes for discussion and to hear from you. We invite you to come to our booth, which is right in the exhibit hall to the left of the door, where you can see and talk to us about these opportunities. For those of you who are priests or leaders in your parish, just to leave this word in case you have to leave early, be thinking about who in your leadership team would benefit from taking a course at the theological school. Without further delay, Bishop Tony, please come give us what you have.
Thank you, Bruce. Good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to see everybody. In 2021, I took over Holy Cross Orthodox Press at the invitation of President George Cantonis, and I moved from the Department of Religious Education to the Holy Cross Orthodox Press, which meant moving from one end of the administration building to the other. So it was not exactly a big move, but it was a significant shift in focus. But as some of you know, it was something I had done before. And the mission of Holy Cross Press that I was given was revitalize it. And in that revitalization process, clarifying the mission of developing scholarly work from our faculty and others that advance various topics in Orthodox Christian theology for other scholars, because as I like to say, Holy Cross is the place where the church is trying to think. And so whenever we're publishing a book, it's showing off what we're thinking about and trying to get that conversation going. but also works for as we would say, the educated lay reader. So somebody who's not a scholar, interested in a lot of the footnotes or the bibliographies in the back, but wants to develop their faith. And so that once that was clear, we developed our editorial committee to start reviewing projects, and I was basically set free to go to work. The first task had to be developing a program of reprinting books, volumes that had been left out of print for 3 or 4 years prior to my getting there, and in some cases even more. And it became a very aggressive program of making sure the files were in the right shape and things like that, and then getting them printed. So the most significant of them became, for those of you who are interested, the 6-volume collection of Father Dimitri Staniloi's Dogmatics. It's the bestseller from the press, and it has been for many years and continues to be. But also other books of that scope, patristic translations, other works from our faculty, etc. A lot of them are on display at the booth, so I don't need to show you a PowerPoint. You go look there, you can thumb through them. But just remember that every time we publish a book, and if every one of you were to buy one title from us and put it on a shelf, Holy Cross is facing somebody else. You get excited. Wow, these people are really thinking about something there. I want to go there. I want to learn from them. I want to take a course. And it projects the institution in ways that none of us can do physically, because our books wind up in libraries in Korea. They wind up in India. I mean, it's a way that we can project ourselves in a very new way, and have been able to do. So as the reprinting was going on, we had to begin reaching out to authors. And very quickly, once we announced that Holy Cross Press was being revitalized, within a year, I had 10 projects that I could work on. It was a little more than I could chew at the time, but we kind of said, with the editorial committee, deciding which ones to work on. And that process began and continues to this day. Authors, even just last week, I believe it or not, it's gotten so good I could reject most of them. Hey, it's a good problem to have. I mean, when I started, it was a beggars can't be choosers kind of thing, making bricks without straw, as if you're an Old Testament knowledgeable kind of moment. But now I can actually say no to something that we don't, it's not all that great, or doesn't meet a need, or something like that. And so those kinds of things began to happen as well. Some of the titles that we've published just in the last year, Father Alcibiades Kalivas' Ierotelestikon. So for clergy or anyone who's trying to study liturgy, for those of us that went to class with him, it was his notes. And now it's turned into a narrative that can be used. Dr. Louis Patsovos' Introduction to Canon Law. And canon law is a strangely hot topic to my book, but it is. And so those kinds of things, as well as working with Father John Chryssavgis, recently published what's called Sustaining the Future, which were the presentations from the Halki Summit number 5, with the Roman Catholic Church on the legacies and the work of Pope Francis and His All Holiness on ecological issues. So there's a partnership there as well. So those kinds of things, it's an ongoing process. We're publishing, just today I got another manuscript of another Staniloi translation. So it's this ongoing process of meeting these kinds of needs. And then I have to plug it, because I know if you go to the booth, you're going to see the flyers about it, as I like to call it, the big one. What one of our editorial committee said to me, it's maybe the most important book Holy Cross Press has ever published when it comes out in August. And they said to me, and we were all friends, so he said, Tony, if you never do another book, this will have been worth it. Again, clergy and anyone interested in liturgy, the 5 volumes of Ioannis Foundoulis, Answers to Liturgical Questions, which has been a mainstay in Greek scholarship since the 1960s, is now going to be published in English, a full translation under license from Apostoliki Diakonia, but they were blown away by what we did that they never did. Fully annotate every source that Professor Foundoulis used. and cite them. I mean, every volume has 1,000 to 1,500 footnotes. I mean, each volume is like 400 pages. I mean, it's insane. And then we're doing something that Fundoulis only dreamed of doing, and Apostoliki in all of these decades never tried, indexing them. Because across the 5 volumes, he's talking about baptism in each volume at some point. Each of the 5 volumes, he's talking about pre-sanctified liturgies or liturgical, what some said. So unless you couldn't find anything unless you knew what you were looking for. So now by putting in an index, you just find all of his questions, all of his answers on something like that. We're really excited about this one. Like I said, some people think it might be the most important publication that Holy Cross Press has ever done in its history. So I'm grateful that the authors, the translation team came to the press and said, we want Holy Cross to do it. I was grateful for the support that Apostoliki Diakonia in Greece gave us and says, yes, of course we want this in English to do this. And you can pick up information. They will be available in August. As you might imagine, a book with an index is its own volume, has to lag behind a little bit, and we expect that maybe late September, early October at the latest, just because of the natural process involved. Because I do have to leave, Dr. Beck said I would be happy to answer any questions, and then well, otherwise I think we're going to wait for everybody else. But I have this new job, and I get text messages, you must be somewhere, despite them telling me you can do anything you want. So I'd be happy to answer any questions about the work of Holy Cross Press, but thank you for your attention. So how do you want to do this? Yes?
Thank you so much. I was just wondering, Greek Orthodox Theological Review.
Yes.
It's going to be resurrected?
It has been resurrected. Professor James Skedros is the editor, has been for a while, and he is working extremely diligently to bring it up to date. Academic journals are just the bane of academic life, and keeping them on target is always difficult. And so, so Jim is working really, really hard to bring it up to date. I know another set of volumes are at print, I think, now as well. But so that's, for those of you who don't know, the Greek Orthodox Theological Review, it's really not under my purview, is an academic journal, articles on all kinds of topics from scholars from anywhere that are published, again, another way of advancing the academic conversation.
Good.
Yes, Father Steve.
Next 1 to 3 years, the major focus of the press as far as like areas of topic or themes?
Well, at one level, I'm kind of at the mercy of what comes our way. So there's that. So I always have to put in that. Of my own particular interest, I think is seeing more titles in theology itself and theological questions that the church is facing. A lot of what we do is, something like Sustaining the Future, that kind of work, but from an individual author giving us a sustained argument or presentation of something. We definitely need to be doing that. Secondly, this is a personal bias, and I needle people all the time about it. We are not documenting our history in this country very well. And I don't mean just, the parish yearbook with lots of pictures kinds of things, but really, really thinking about how our journey in this century, of the last century, as an archdiocese, as an Orthodox church in the United States. Last year we published the 100th anniversary book of the history of a HEPA. And somebody said, why would Holy Cross Press do that? I said, because it's part of our history. And so people that are interested in Orthodox church history in the United States have very few places they can find. So whenever somebody says, I'm writing a history about this, that, or the other thing, it's like, yeah, I want to look at that. So I would like to see that. And we will continue to do some of the translation work. Like I just said, somebody submitted a translation of another volume of Stanoloi, things like that. But again, I'm at the mercy of what people send in.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Oh, one more, yes.
I just want to ask them, thank you. I've seen the difference, and it's been fantastic.
Thank you.
So much.
And one thing I was just thinking about is the social ethos.
That- yeah.
That is awesome, because a lot of you young
For the life of the world, yes.
love it, and you use it a lot. So I'm wondering, apart from the Teen Book Club, are you going to try to answer social issues? Church position on social.
Well, I as a press would not, we don't generate the work.
The academic journal.
I would, yeah, if somebody were to submit an article, I mean, I just gave a presentation a few days ago on speeches of the church on social and moral issues. So my notes were, 20 pages, I get 20 minutes. So that could become another article to say, look at how we've changed our vision of things from the time of Archbishop Athenagoras to today. So we need to, again, so it's kind of a twofer, the history of the Archdiocese, and at the same time talking about these issues and analyzing them. But again, that's what we need. We need somebody taking, to use an example from the past, the late Father Stanley Heracus gave us lots of, contemporary, you think of Contemporary Moral Issues book that was around is still published, right? Something like that. Those are still desperately needed. And written both for the scholar, but also for the educated layperson. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Bishop Tony. Before we have Father John, you can come up, but there are two seats up here. There's if
They kick one up.
so this will be warmed up and ready to go. So yeah, if you want to sit down, there's seats. So all right, okay. So do you want me to just advance when you're ready and just go through this slide or not?
Remember what, can I touch it or
Yeah.
All right.
how does it work?
Well, I will.
You don't. Yeah.
No.
So, about the. Oh, this is.
So I didn't realize that Bruce actually meant it when he said you're not going to see any smiling students. I wanted him to put up the other student. He looked so sad in front of the computer,
That's right. We don't want happy.
struggling, perplexed.
We're going for connected to the Polish.
So I want to be very brief again so that we can have some time for questions. It's a real honor for me to work with the sort of people we have at the school, the way Bruce Beck promotes all the programs and the faculty at the school, the way we can work with Bishop Anthony for publications. And in particular, I have to put in a plug for the Maliotis Center that is just the jewel of the school in terms of having been literally resurrected. I was there for 5-10 years in the mid-90s, and it was like a haunted house. There were classes there, but my kids would actually go and play hide and seek there, and it's now a place that we're proud to hold events and programs and book launches, conferences and so forth. And certainly for my work at the newly set up Huffington Ecumenical Institute, it's like having your own exhibition place. So I'm very grateful to President for our collaboration. As many of you know, from the outset of my ministry, and especially over the last 25 years, I've been very privileged to enjoy a front row seat to the extraordinary, I think unique ministry of His All Holiness. And that's a ministry that has certainly shaped my life. It's also offered me a glimpse into the wider church, into what I like to call, I think it's the best word to use, even though it makes people cringe and run away, the ecumenical church, the Catholic Church. And that's exactly the image of the church that I want to bring into an institute that has in its very title an ecumenical institute. The impact of that wider church, of that, we're back on the island.
touch it every once in
Yes, I have to, yeah. So, the impact of what a Catholic Orthodox Church, a wider Orthodox Church, an ecumenical Orthodox Church can bring to the world. So there's no hiding the fact that that's the vision that I want to bring to the Institute, and that's what really attracted me to accept the position. That's what I hope to bring there to the campus, to the students as they're shaping their ministries to go out and serve as clergy or as leaders in our communities. So I feel honored, in fact, to have this possibility, a gift. I feel, I tell people that, towards the end of my ministry, it's not a morbid way of putting it. I've served the church for 40 years. I feel blessed to have an opportunity to bring together some of the strands, some of the experiences, some of the interests, some of my own likes in terms of the tradition, the theology, the church fathers, and the ecumenical church, and to bring that together, both academically and ecclesiastically, to shape an institute that serves, I hope, a broader dimension. Someone mentioned earlier the social dimension and the impact of the church on the world, through the faculty, through the students.
We're going to plug this in, so
I'm always being plugged in, Bruce.
it won't fade on.
Thank you. Thank you.
Coming the sideboard.
Yeah. Through the faculty and through the students, this is not a sort of para-school event, it's institute. It's part of the school, part and parcel of the school, part and parcel of the Archdiocese, and what I hope you take away from this brief introduction, part and parcel of our parishes, because I do want to be informed about what you think should be included in the programs of the Institute, and I do want you involved. So let me say again from the outset that my objective is not really to be concerned or obsessed or involved directly with doctrinal differences among individual confessions or religion. I told the search committee when I was interviewed that the filioque and the primacy don't keep me up at night. All right? There are other things that keep me up at night. What I believe is important in an increasingly divided and an increasingly divisive world, even and especially in our church, is how we can, as churches, become responsibly informed, meaningfully involved in shaping the world around us. One thing I've learned from COVID, apart from the fact there are so many crazy people in the world, one thing we've learned from COVID is that we have to work together. That what one person does, what one group does, affects everyone else. And we're a part of that. So bringing people to the school, Jane Goodall is hardly really the focus of my attention at the school, but the very first week that I went to the school, she was in town, and she's a friend. She called me and said, let's have breakfast, and I said, come to the school for breakfast. And of course, just the mention of her name brought a large crowd there. At other events that we've organized about Palestine and the situation there, and this was just after the war broke out in early October, or on artificial intelligence. And we've done a number of conferences. Here's one on synodality that's already been organized, an event on Mount Athos, and lots of upcoming events for the first time ever in the history of the school. The Orthodox Anglican Dialogue, the oldest pan-Orthodox dialogue, initiated by our Patriarchate, with all of the Orthodox churches involved, except the Orthodox churches that don't like dialogue, but most of them will be there for the first time at Holy Cross, in the middle of student life. And at the same time, I've organized a course for students at the school about the Anglican Orthodox dialogue. So students will be able to take the course. They'll be able to help the participants that are coming, about 25 of them from all of the Orthodox churches, as they say, try to involve some of the other Orthodox churches. We have Antiochian representatives coming from overseas. I've involved the Antiochian Church in Boston. It's an Anglican dialogue as well. I've involved the Anglican Church in Boston and so forth. In November, the Orthodox Lutheran dialogue's coming to town. In December, the Baptist Orthodox dialogue. But again, that's not my focus. I've just wanted to bring kind of the outside church, the global church, to campus to expose students to all of this. And a number of events that we're holding next year, a conference on Nicaea, because it's the big year, of course, 2025, the anniversary of the 1700th anniversary. I'll get that right, on Nicaea. A major conference on disability in May, and next October, next year, trying to bring back to the fore our discussions with the Oriental churches that for 40 years have stagnated. And there's a lot of interest. But also courses that I'm scheduling for students outside and beyond, alongside the courses they already have in theology and liturgy, New Testament and Old Testament, courses that they wouldn't normally have access to, such as this summer, the Orthodox Christian Muslim relations. As I said, in the fall, the Anglican Orthodox dialogue, Orthodox theology and ecology, also bringing overseas students to teach courses. These also are courses that are set, confirmed, that will be taught over the next year and a half and 2 years. Comparative courses, Christian monasticism, East and West, Christian spirituality, East and West, Orthodoxy in the modern world, which is actually will be a course on For the Life of the World that you were asking about. We also have young fellow that is our first appointee as fellow of the Institute, again, to bring students and, more than that, faculty, established faculty is what I want to try and secure, bringing them to the school in order for the school to have exposure to their teachings, but also for the outside world to have exposure to what's going on in the school. A lot of it is very good and people don't know about it, even within our church. So learning to put together different pieces, disparate pieces of a puzzle that students are trained in during classes at the seminary, making sense of the world around us, on campus, in parishes, in the world. And all of this, part and parcel of what I hope will be the work of the Huffington Institute. That's how I would define the term ecumenical in terms of the vision of the Institute. And that involves, I close with this, reaching out to the parishes, to the clergy, to the parishioners and the leaders in our communities, hearing from you about what challenges you encounter that could be brought into the school as courses or programs or conferences or seminars or panel discussions or Zoom conferences and so forth, potentially organizing events and conferences at the school to address these issues in a constructive way, in a positive way that will help your ministry as well. Not because I or the Institute have something to offer, but because I've learned, and I think that we all have something to learn together about the role of the church in our world, a church that exists, as St. Basil's phrase is, which is the title of that social document, that exists for the life of the world, not for inner consumption. Thank you.
I'm going to ask you a quick question. So I'd like for Father John to answer a question that I think you all may have, which is, are all of these courses and the conferences that are coming to campus, will they be available to people who are at home and not on campus?
So yes, so this is all the stuff that I'm not as good at, of course. I have a capable assistant that helps me in this, and I know that there's an amazing team that Presbytera has in terms of audio-visual stuff and getting things out, live streaming events. The courses are all available also broadly, publicly. I don't know how it works in terms of the school and how you register and what you pay and things like that. But if there's any question at all about those issues, I know Bruce is willing to help, and I know I'm willing to help. And the same goes with the conferences, for as much as we can, unless they're private discussions. These dialogues, for instance, the Orthodox Anglican dialogue it's a private dialogue. They discuss behind closed doors and then come out with public documents. But I will use the occasion of that visit of 25 people from all over the world to also have one or two public lectures, to have this course, as I say, for them to mingle with students over lunch and so forth, and for them to have a tour of the city of Boston on a trolley. So, yes, thank you.
Thank you.
We will have additional time for questions. There are still some, if you have a seat next to you, can you raise your hand? There are still some seats over here if you would like to sit down. So I need just a moment to get a video running. And then we'll have our presentation on the Maliotis Center.
We can essentially explain ace that will a good was comes with us that any things nothing is strange during the mutual potential subjects less than for some reason which tend to that goes with children and get specific with some flip and
So before running this video about the Maliotis Cultural Center, I just want to echo what Father John just said, is that even though the theme of this workshop is about HCHC Outbound, and Presbytera Chrysoula will talk about the ways in which the mission of the center is beyond the campus of HCHC. I just want to say that the Cultural Center has transformed the student life at Hellenic College Holy Cross, and also the surrounding Boston area, bringing people to campus. So it's basically hospitality with all capital letters. And it's difficult to put that in words, and she won't say it like that. So I just wanted to mention her tireless efforts in this area, which we so appreciate. So there's a video. It's going to be about 6 minutes. Don't fall asleep. The lights are going to stay on.
Music, art, drama, historical presentations, all of which give depth and understanding to what the classics are to not only our own institution, but to civilization in the Western world. Built in the 1960s as a result of a contribution from Maria and Kostas Maliotis, the Maliotis Cultural Center was built with the mission of advancing Greek culture and language.
It is Kostas and Maris Maliotis' home. Under this home, the whole homogenia is getting served with different kind of activities and events.
3 years ago, Hellenic College Holy Cross was able to regain control of the operations of the facility. We then commenced a very intentional 3 to 5 year plan to renovate the facility that had fallen into significant disrepair.
The Maliotis Cultural Center is a beautiful 2-story building clad in all-white Pentelic marble, the same marble that was used on the Parthenon. The atrium is tall and spacious, yet welcoming. It is the perfect place to host an exhibit, a conference, or a lecture. With a seating capacity of 340, our theater can hold musical performances, Greek tragedies, conferences, seminars, and so much more.
We're here in front of the brand new LED wall, which was one of the many major capital improvements we've made to this facility this past year, both externally and internally.
We were then able to use the facility for our students in ways that it had not been used before. As a virtual student center, including its use as classrooms, a location for student events, a casual library, and actually even a cafeteria.
The library is one of my favorite places at the Cultural Center. It's so cozy and warm. It has a great atmosphere. It's just a great place to grab a book or a cup of coffee, study, hang out with friends. There's no place like it. Don't forget to stop by the Maliotis Cafeteria. It's like a little corner of Greece right here in Boston.
I'm really excited seeing the center creating affiliations with local universities like Harvard, BU, BC Fletcher. It's amazing that we have been able to create affiliations with Benaki Museum and Gennadios Library.
It's exciting for me to see so many people on a daily basis visit the facility, not just the students that are here on campus, as well as the faculty and staff, but every day there's an event, there's permanent exhibits here, there's ongoing activity, both as not only as a social area, but also important as a place of holding meetings, dances, all types of cultural events and activities.
It's such a blessing and joy coming on the center on a daily basis. I feel like there is a purpose and ethos. The center is full of life from 8 o'clock in the morning until 10 p.m. in the evening.
We have developed relationships with presenters both in New York and Athens to continue to grow and broaden our offerings.
We truly need the full support of our entire community. We've only scratched the surface of how great this place can be as a vibrant Hellenic cultural center for not only us here in the community, but for all over the world. And so we're looking forward to people coming here and visiting us, really experiencing what truly makes us Hellenes.
His Eminence, Archbishop Elpidophoros, refers to Maliotic Cultural Center as Κόμβος Ελληνισμού και Μελίσσης Ορθοδοξίας, the center of Hellenism and Orthodoxy.
Cultural centers are not only an important asset for us to preserve the past, but also to perpetuate the future.
I want to believe that Kostas and Mary Maliotis, they are proud how we continued their legacy.
Our vision is to be seen as not only the cultural center of campus, or of Boston, or of New England for that matter, but of the entire United States, to be the starting point of national tours. Our potential is endless.
Say,
5 years ago, the Maliotis Cultural Center, located on campus and owned by Hellenic College Holy Cross, was managed by a separate organization, not by our school. Disagreements and conflicts between the school and that organization led to long litigations, during which time the center was allowed to deteriorate to the point it became barely unusable. The court case was settled with control of the center reverting to the school, and a multi-year strategy was implemented. Beginning with renovations during COVID, the return of students saw Maliotis become, with its changes, not only additional classroom space, but a virtual center with a relaxed library lounge used by both students and faculty, an auditorium for lectures, conferences, and symposia, an atrium lobby that can host large gatherings and gathered dinners, even a cafeteria. Maliotis became seen as the asset that not only students could enjoy, but the faculty could use to expand their presentations, not only the student body, but to others in the greater Boston academic community. almost constant academic and cultural events broadens the offerings and therefore the engagement of our students, enriching their experience on campus. And the Maliotis team helps develop, schedule, and host these events. But in addition, Malioti hosts cultural events which include but extend beyond campus, reaching out to the greater academic and Hellenic and Phil-Hellenic communities with professional drama, films, literary presentations, music, and conferences on culture and language. Partnerships with organizations like the Benaki Museum, the Gennadios Library of the American School of Classical Studies, and a number of Greek universities add to the opportunities we have with the local colleges like Harvard, Boston University, Boston College, Tufts, Fletcher's, and many more. With a reputation developed over the years, producers and sponsors seek us out to discuss wide ranges of events we may use to add to and broaden our offerings. We fundraise to cover our entire payroll. For non-school developed events, we require funding or a percentage of ticket sales. So the Maliotis Cultural Center is not only a place of enrichment culturally, but also a source of income to aid in offsetting school expenses, a potential we look to increase significantly in the near future. The Maliotis Center has evolved greatly in the last 4 years to become a vibrant, active, and enriching asset to Hellenic College Holy Cross, while providing a cultural outreach that extends well beyond our Holy Hill. But as was said in the video, we still have enormous potential. As a team, we at Maliotis are committed to realizing as much of that potential as possible, working together with faculty, administration, the Archdiocese, and reaching out to the greater Hellenic cultural community. In closing, I must extend some thanks to His Eminence Archbishop Elpidophoros of America for his spiritual guidance, and who under his leadership the legal dispute was resolved and Malioti Cultural Center got the management of Hellenic College Holy Cross. The past president, George Kandonis, who saw the potential vision and developed the strategy, to Drake Berakis, past chair of Malioti Cultural Center, and his family for the critical financial funding without which we would have been unable to accomplish as much as we have. To President Katos, whose continued support is so critical to our team continue to grow. To George Orphanakos for accepting the challenge and the responsibility to be the new chair of Maliotis Cultural Center Advisory Board, and the dream team of Malioti Cultural Center, Markela Patitsas, Director, Marilena Grobadzakis, Event Manager, Antonis Apostolidis, our Audiovisual Manager, that make everything possible. Here, looking at Helen, I didn't know if she would have been here. I just want to say a special thank to Helen Carlos, for being one of my role models. I remember here I have to share that years ago, I will not say how many, I was working and at the OVM and I was reporting to Anne Bezeridis, and we were working for the Crossroad. And I remember Helen coming at our office, and I got really inspired by your love, not only about Hellenism, but your love about our faith, your love about our students, and especially what I really admire about you is that your love is strong regardless who is the president, who is board of trustees, who is the new dean. So you're focused on loving the church. So thank you so much. Thank you. So at the end, we have prepared a folder that I would like you to take. The folder, when you will open it, you will see our team, and then I think that it will be important to pay attention all the events that we have done the last 2 years and a half. we're having our Mayotte Advisory Committee, and then we're having how you can reach us in here. I would like to ask you if you can help us with areas of improvement, what you would like us to see doing differently, but also we would really appreciate your feedback. So thank you.
Very much. Good luck.
Sweet, there was just a bit that was great. That it is. Well, it's a good.
Thank you, President Chrysoula.
Yeah.
So we're about finished. I want to just end in this last section to drive home really just a very, very simple idea, and I don't know why it's taken us so long to deliver it. As I mentioned at the beginning of our session, not everyone can pursue theological education or even take a course on our campus. I, as director of enrollment, the last 4.5 years, it's really, it's impressed on my heart that people may want to come, but they just cannot. There are many people that are doing mid-career changes that they begin their theological education remotely. And then if they decide they want to come to campus, do a Master of Divinity, enter the priesthood, that is a path. So when 2 years ago we opened up the THM online degree program, we had 9 students enter, the first online. We still have our on-campus program. In 2023, less than 12 months ago, we had 34 students enter the Master of Theological Studies program online, with less than 6 months of announcing the program. The average course load is just under 2 courses. In other words, the average is people are taking 1 or 2 classes. All of those people had been wanting that for I don't know how long. So we know that that is meeting a need. And then the third thing that I want to emphasize is that you don't have to do a degree program in order to benefit from the program of courses at the school. So we have a non-degree status, special student status, where anyone in your parish or as priests, if you want to take an additional class, can just take a class. And so I will just give you a little bit of a sense of that. This QR code that's up here now leads to a landing page or a web page that's called Online Courses Fall 2024. And it lists, and I'll show you a moment what it looks like, but it lists all the courses that are going to be either synchronous online or asynchronous courses. So I'll give you a moment to take a picture of that. While you're doing that, I want to mention 2 programs that you're familiar with that usually don't get mentioned, but they are also being delivered online. The Kalanikion Greek language program since 2020 has been offered through Zoom classes. As I said at the beginning, that wasn't our choice initially, but we kept it that way instead of being on campus. This past year, we had 40 students enroll, but 10 of them were people from outside that aren't part of HCHC. They just came in remotely, joined our community for that particular course. The diaconate program, as all of you probably know, is a 3-year program. We have just now changed it to make the courses accredited, and the students come on campus for 1 week and a weekend. Otherwise, they are taking remote courses, many of them the same as the MTS and the MDiv program. There's a total of 18 credits, including 1 course in clinical pastoral education, which is brand new for us. We're delivering that in a mixed model through online courses and then on campus, as well as the priest mentorship during the year. So Kalanikion and the diaconate belong in the same group of our getting out there and not having, because as you know from those of you who know deacons who've graduated as well as those who are in the program, they are professionals. They have families, they have their professions, and they're not, they can't just pack up and leave all of that.
Oh, connect.
Our THM online program, I'm happy to see Deacon Vasily in the back from Florida, who graduated from our diaconate program, already had an MDiv from another university, and entered the THM online program and finished. I'm happy to have been his thesis advisor, and it was just a very good experience, I think, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
Good. I'll give you that milkshake. So I want to just give you, we're going to try to keep to our time here. As I mentioned at the beginning, part of the challenge in delivering this part of our offerings, the challenge for both us as faculty and also for our leadership in the churches is not just to learn about something to make the connection, but to make the connection of, I could do that, or I know someone who could do that. And I happened to read an online student's reflection paper this morning that was about the rich man and Lazarus. And this was actually something that I had assigned for the diaconate. I'm teaching a diaconate course this week. And it is something that they were reading a sermon by John Chrysostom, St. John, about Lazarus and the rich man. And the problem that the rich man had was not his means or he didn't do anything negative, didn't harm the man, as St. John said, but he didn't have eyes to see. He did not see the man. That is the problem with with realizing that HCHC is both an online community and an on-campus community, and it's going to take all of us a while to update our site about that, because if you can convert to HCHC being both an online community and an on-campus community. And by the way, in case some of you are wondering, nothing's changed about the seminarian MDiv program. It is still all on campus. So, calm down, rest assured. we still require that marination on campus. But it's about re-envisioning what the possibilities are for us to partner with you and your churches in doing theological education. And as Father John said, we want to hear from you what the courses would be that would be useful. Just to conclude, this is I tried to do a graphic. This is a head count. This is a head count last fall, and this area here is the head count of our online students last fall, which was greater than our residential. Here, these are commuters, this is residential, this is online. Now keep in mind, the average course load is half for these students, so they're not quite the same in terms of full-time count, but I'd rather count people in this case. How many people benefited? This was last fall, and here's the actual numbers. We had 205 people, including Hellenic students. 75 students were accessing our school through the internet, through remote classes.
This
is what the website looks like if you did the QR code. This is the fall 24. You can see that they're asynchronous, synchronous, and hybrid courses.
Let's get it.
And this is meant to show a plethora of opportunities. Whether it's taking some of these courses you all took already in your MDiv program, but our professor of theology and so forth, they're being offered remotely. I'm offering a course on philanthropic ministry in the New Testament, which would be open for anyone to take one class. So as the director of enrollment, you would contact me, go to our website, access this page, has an inquiry form, and just say, I'm interested, or I want to know more, and we will get you connected. I am very aware that you all have given your time, and we also really ask for your prayers. What we're doing is not on our own strength. The incoming classes that are coming in the college and the School of Theology are beyond marvelous, and we don't really fully understand all of that, so it must be God. So thank you very much, because I think our session ends right at 1 o'clock. Thank you for your... I thank our panelists also.